Well, it's been a funny summer, hasn't it? Really, really funny summer. Manchester United, we haven't really known what they've been doing. There's been like 7 weeks or 6 weeks of not knowing what's going to happen over Brian and Bumo. And now things have just escalated. We've moved to a point now where Mbumo signing is done. They have moved on to other targets. The target list was narrowed down to 2 as of like Monday. And now we have a preferred target. Benjamin Sesko is Manchester United's preferred target. I'll be talking about the latest developments on this stream today. This is the Promised Land podcast live stream on YouTube as well. Hopefully, I will wrap all this up into a nice audio package for you to listen to on Spotify and Apple a little bit after I have finished here. But get in the comments, section. Let me know what you think, because this is a development I didn't expect to happen so quickly, but we have had it pretty much confirmed across the board that United are now looking to do the deal for Benjamin Sesko because he is the preferred target that they have. Ollie Watkins is deemed too expensive, or Villa are not willing to sell him, or whatever it is, but Benjamin Sesko is the guy that Manchester United are after. Everything seems to point to the fact as well that Sesko would prefer to join Manchester United over Newcastle, who have showed their hand, who are desperate to sign him because Alexander Isak might be going to Liverpool. Lots and lots and lots going on. Get in the comment section, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. I'll be talking a little bit about what the latest updates are, and Benjamin Sesko himself. I have done podcasts over the last few days and done videos over the last few days, and I've been thinking a lot about who the right target is. And only this morning, really, I did make a video, and you can go and check that out on the channel, where I looked at the cost differences and the fact that Ollie Watkins might cost 50 or 60 million quid. That to me is too much money. If you can get him for 40 to 45 million quid, then that's probably the best way to go, because you want experience, you want a guarantee of goals. But then if you're paying any more than that, and it seems like Villa are holding out strong here, because at one point Watkins was deemed the first choice target for a lot of people who were reporting on United. Something's changed. Something has changed. And Christopher Vivell is leading this charge. Hello to you guys who are in the chat already. Manpreet, hey Scott, what a lovely way to start your day with the Ornstein exclusive. This has come out from a lot of places, to be fair. Obviously, David Ornstein has jumped on the... I don't think he was first to this, actually. But nevertheless, it's always good to have that rubber stamp. Suvik is here again as well. Hi, Scott. I'm excited and scared in equal parts on another young, expensive striker. I can't wait to see what this lad can do if we sign him. And Manpreet says it's also match day, so looking forward to that. You know, I do play Bournemouth in 12 hours-ish, 10 hours, I think. Also with Sesko on, surely this means Rasmus is on sale. Yeah, potentially. Look, there's lots going on, and it's nice to see that United are moving. How they are affording this, who actually knows? I don't know. But, you know, nevertheless, I think United had to make a right decision. They had to go and attack the transfer market. There was a good few weeks of nothingness that frustrated a lot of people, but it seems like the transfer window's come back to life now. United need to sell some players in order to raise money, but the fact that Benjamin Sesko has been established as the club's first choice target is a really, really good thing. Like I say, please subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. Like the video, get in the comment section as well, as I'll be talking through what has been the update. It is interesting. Suvik says, we for sure found oil while digging for the new stadium. And Manpreet, you're in Canada. Okay, so it'd be 9:30 in Canada, 2:30 a.m. for me. So I fall asleep at 10 nowadays. That's just the way that it is. I'll have to watch it in the morning. And I wasn't planning to actually do another video or another podcast. I was thinking that we wouldn't really have that kind of progress today. I was thinking we'd get... Grace is disappointed we didn't go for Andy Carroll. There were definitely people out there probably that would have preferred that older, experienced option, the cheaper option. Doesn't look like United are going that way. It is interesting to see that this is a development that is happening. And I have, like I've hinted at just now, I've spent some time really trying to think about what the best option is. And a lot of this is dependent on price, dependent on which... how much Ollie Watkins would cost. I think let's put it that way. And if he's going to cost too much money, I think with the prices that have been quoted for Benjamin Sesko, and I had them written down somewhere. Let me just check. Oh, I've got it right here. Right. So maybe I'll run through that as well. Ben just popping on to say hi, technically in a meeting. We'll watch back later. Yeah, thanks, Ben. Hello, and really, really appreciate it. I was planning to come along at like 6:30 tonight to maybe touch base if something happened, but obviously this has happened, and it's probably better to jump on at the time that it's happening to have a discussion about it. And obviously that might not mean that it's suitable for everybody, but hopefully some of you guys are finding the channel as new now that the news is breaking. Morgie says, hey, Scott, am I correct that Arsenal targeted Sesko before Gyökeres, but the deal stalled because Sesko insisted on a release clause? I have seen that linked and suggested in some places. I don't know. I think you get a lot of hearsay over the course of a summer and a summer transfer pursuit. Is it an indication on Arsenal and him maybe wanting to have that opportunity to be a stepping stone club? I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case in these negotiations. Maybe it's a sticking point. I don't know. But I think Sesko seems to be pretty set on leaving Leipzig, and his choices appear to be between, since Arsenal signed a striker already, Chelsea signed their strikers already, it seems to be between Manchester United and Newcastle. And Newcastle have Champions League football to offer, but Manchester United have history and a project to offer. So it is... Grace here says, can we have a 1 minute silence for ending Newcastle United? Relegation is coming for them. I will do that, since I need about maybe do 30 seconds, since I need some time to actually gather my thoughts. I haven't planned anything out here. This is just me jumping on a stream talking about this. I'm just going to have a look at this screen, and in honor of what Grace has said there, I will have a moment's silence for Newcastle, who have, just before I do, missed out on Dean Howson, Liam Delap, Brian Mbumo, João Pedro, Hugo Ekitike, Mateus Cunha, and James Trafford, and now potentially as well Benjamin Sesko. All right. Anyway, that was enough. Hopefully that was okay, Grace. It wasn't a minute, but look, right. So the report is, Hacker, hello, mate. Whatever happens next season feels like a new era, doesn't it? It does a little bit. Like I did a pod earlier today, and you can go back and check it on what Luke Shaw had said. I thought a lot of the stuff that he has now said in these interviews that he did, like yesterday in the US and last night, he used the word stragglers about players. He used the word toxic about the culture at the club and how Ruben Amorim is trying to eradicate that. I said on that video and on that podcast, like I say, you can go back and check it, that United have never done the true cultural reset and properly ironed those problems out. You've always had kind of one or two problem players and a bad attitude and a bad atmosphere, something that could be like you pop a pin in it and it pops, very, very easily. They've been really soft when they've fallen behind in matches. It's they generally don't react very well. You see that United score or concede a goal and then they concede two more, or they score a goal and then they concede one straight away after scoring. And the mentality hasn't been right. So in terms of just turning things around, I really do hope that we've had loads of false storms before, but I really do hope that this summer we can see that this is going to be different, and hopefully Ruben Amorim can really start to make his mark, and hopefully the things that are happening off the pitch as well mean that United are moving forward, profiling their targets better, and Christopher Vivell is a driving force behind the Benjamin Sesko. Morgie says, the minute silence was impeccably observed. It wasn't quite a minute, but a moment's silence, as I just thought, like, it's a bad summer for Newcastle. It really is. And look, maybe he still does go to Newcastle, but I think the fact that it is coming out and Manchester United have made it clear to all of the kind of outlets that there are, like the main journalists that there are, who are all saying that United have now prioritized this move happening for Benjamin Sesko. United have to be pretty confident for that they will be able to get this player ahead of Newcastle if they're going out there and saying that they're prioritizing this move, when only 6 or 2 hours ago we were working on the thesis that they were choosing between two players. It is it's interesting. So what the Athletic have said: Manchester United are prioritizing a move for RB Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko. Maybe I can share this on my screen. Let me just have a look if I can do that. You'll have to bear with me here. That's not how you do it. Present or invite. Here we go. Okay. So share screen. Let's have a look. Here it is. Right. Nope, still doesn't work. Here we go. Add to stage. Here we go. Okay, right. So let's zoom in a little bit here. Apologies, guys. I'm very, very new to this. Anyway, right. So what we have got is Manchester United are prioritizing a move for RB Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko if they sign a striker. So we're still not certain whether United are actually going to sign a striker or not. We still don't know for sure. They're just making sure that maybe a deal, maybe they can't get this money right. Maybe they don't have the money to come up with it. But if they are going to move for a striker, it looks more likely to be Benjamin Sesko. I see you, hacker. The Old Trafford club have made informal contact with the Bundesliga counterparts after Sesko emerged as their preferred option. Newcastle are also targeting him as their top candidate. Like I say, we've just run through a number of names that Newcastle have already missed out on. It's a bad window for them so far. I think they lost a friendly today as well and had another injury in their squad. The Athletic reported on July 29th that United had narrowed their striker search to the 22-year-old and Ollie Watkins and were exploring the costs of both potential deals. I think there are some people that favour Ollie Watkins, and there's definitely a lot of people out there as well. I know that, like, even me last week, I could see the merits in both of these deals. I can see the real tangible, like, fair argument to suggest that United should be going for the experienced option in Ollie Watkins, because they have quite clearly not been able to score enough goals in the Premier League over the last few years. I think they scored 44 last season, which is just not very good. They have addressed the Premier League experience or lack thereof in terms of the signings they've made already this summer in Brian Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha. But it's interesting to see that they've been weighing up whether Sesko was the right option or whether Watkins was the right option. I'll talk about what I said this morning as well in a little bit. I'm just going to run through this for now. United have already added those two players, like I've just said, but they have also... Look, and I've said this the other day, I remember I've written about Benjamin Sesko quite extensively over the past few years. I knew that United were after him all the way back when, because United have... We all know that their scouting has been pretty good. It's just they haven't actually got over the line and brought players in at the right moments. They've turned their noses up at players. They haven't been able to reach certain agreements for players, and then they've seen them go on to other clubs and absolutely smash it elsewhere. But he's turned United down before as well. He's under contract till 2029, having signed a new contract last year. And I think that there's quotes here about the money that he's going to cost. Offers in the region of 80 to 90 million euros or 69 to 78 million Leipzig would allow him to leave. I think that's pretty commonplace. I cross-checked this morning or earlier on the numbers that are being suggested here versus what Fabrizio Romano has been saying. There's a gentleman's agreement, apparently, in Sesko's favour if he chooses that. If there's a certain club that he chooses that he wants to join, the money might potentially go down. And you're then looking at, in Romano's quoted case, 70 million euros to 80 million euros negotiable prices, plus add-ons of 5 to 10 million euros. And that equates then to 60 to 69 million pounds as a fixed fee, plus 4.3 to 8.6 million. That is a little bit less. No, it's about the same. It's about the same, I think. So, look, maybe United feel like they can get this down as well. There have been suggestions today that... Let me just stop sharing the screen for a second. There have been suggestions today that Newcastle and Manchester United both feel like they can get this deal done for around 70 million euros, which is a lot less. Obviously, we know that Arsenal have had a massive interest over the course of the summer for Benjamin Sesko as well. And they had their own problems in trying to negotiate this transfer getting through. They, in the end, decided, I think they weighed up the Victor Gyökeres and Benjamin Sesko deals against each other. Mikel Arteta seemed to prefer Benjamin Sesko throughout that entire time before I think things turned around and they went with Victor Gyökeres. It's really interesting to see the reasons why Arsenal didn't. I don't think it's anything about like how good this guy is or anything like that. I think it's about financials and where Arsenal are as a football club and what they need. And obviously, if they're challenging for titles, this kind of thing, you're probably going to want to add that extra bit of experience. Who, like Gyökeres has played in the Premier League for like a minute or two, like previously, but he has played in England before and scored a lot of goals in England, scored a lot of goals in Portugal as well. So you understand why. If anything, with United looking at Gyökeres earlier in the summer and Arsenal looking at Sesko, I actually thought that United getting Gyökeres and Arsenal getting Sesko probably would have made more sense for me, because Arsenal have Kai Havertz, who does take up that striking position, knits the team together pretty well, whether you think he's a good player or not. He does do a good job for the team in that aspect. But I thought with the presence of Havertz, Arsenal maybe could have afforded to take a younger option in their team, like a Benjamin Sesko. Obviously, they've gone the other way. And if anything, the fact that United have Rasmus Højlund, I thought personally that United would be better off getting the more experienced, older option who can come in, have a sensible head on his shoulders, be able to deal with the pressure really well, and kind of hit the ground running to lift United's level of performance. It's interesting to see, but it's not worked out that way. And like either of those players, they were definitely right to kind of put Arsenal as the main focus for them, because regardless at the moment, United are in a crap position in comparison to Arsenal. That's just the way that it is. United not being in the Champions League, United being terribly run for the last few years and finishing 8th and then finishing 15th. It's not that appealing. What's more appealing, probably going to play for a club that you know is going to compete for the Premier League title to a certain degree, because they've a proven track record of it happening. Every player that seemed to have joined United over the past few years seems to have gotten worse. So, look, it's interesting to see, though. Arsenal made the decision. And it's funny that after a summer of Arsenal chasing Benjamin Sesko and then Victor Gyökeres and going for Gyökeres, and Manchester United chasing Gyökeres and only now Benjamin Sesko, it's weird, because both of those players could end up facing the team I thought they were more likely to join on the first day of the season. Really, really, really interesting. I don't know how this is going to go, how long it's going to take or anything like that. It is really interesting to see, but there's a number of things that I'm pretty comfortable with that I'll be running through. I'm just going to jump into you guys and your comments for now. Let's have a look. Hello to you guys. Hello to Michael, who says, although he's young, Sesko is not Højlund. He's much more experienced in both Europe and internationally. He's well on his way to becoming a superstar. Plus, he's played well in an awful team last year. Yep, fair enough. Fair enough. I agree. Peter O'Leary. Hello, mate. Love your show, Scott. You're the most credible guy on YouTube. Wow. Thank you very much. I'm nervous about Sesko, but then again, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Thanks for that, mate. Really, really appreciate it. Manpreet says, also would like to just thank you, Scott, for these streams. These do fill us with optimism around United, which is tough to find anywhere on the internet. If you're new here, or if you haven't caught this before, I maybe just explaining myself. I've worked in football media for about 10 to 12 years. I had this podcast for about 4 or 5 years, and there's a lot of noise and a lot of nonsense out there around Manchester United. And what I do try and come to you with, my channel's never going to be the biggest one in the world or whatever, but I don't really mind that. I find it really difficult to follow United nowadays. And I know that there's a lot of noise out there. United are one of the biggest clubs in the world, and anybody who says anything negative about United, you're probably going to get it's probably going to create a lot of stir and a lot of noise. And I don't think that's always justified. It is at points, but following United when they're playing so terribly on the pitch is really, really tough. It has been really, really tough. But I think, in the cases of what's happened with the cuts last year and the job cuts and the rightful criticism that United got, there was always a reason for it. And I don't think Jim Ratcliffe has bought this club to turn a profit. He's too rich, I think there's some kind of like authentic want and desire to actually turn this club around, because it brings with it a sense of achievement. That's kind of how I feel. Maybe not shared everywhere on the internet, but we do go by a never too high, never too low kind of vibe here. And if you do like that, if you want a little bit more, please subscribe to the channel, and please subscribe to the podcast. We do this in audio format as well on Apple and Spotify, and really, really appreciate you guys for jumping into these comment sections. This YouTube channel is brand new, and would really appreciate it if you guys come and subscribe to it, because I want to do more live streams like this. And the reason why I did start this channel was to do live streams like this, because the old channel I had, which had grown to a certain point, was I couldn't stream in the way that I wanted to. Anyway, Morgie says, I'm quite amazed that we seem to have a free run on Sesko tuna side. As 6 months ago, Sesko would have been considered summer target number 1 for all top European clubs. Let's hope Vivel can get it done. It is odd, isn't it, how things work out. Suvik says, I'm hopeful this isn't a repeater of the Hoyland experiment, because we have 3 elite playmakers in Cunha, in Burmo, and Bruno to service the young striker. Yeah, I'm seeing a little bit about this release clause, hey T2. I have seen a bit about that. I do think a lot of it was conjecture, though we'll know how legit that is probably over the course of the next few weeks as United try and negotiate. I think if he's asking for a release clause from United, I don't know if this deal gets done. Manpreet again says, surely Rasmus is on sale if he joins. If we get Sesko and we struggle, we have a problem, Houston. Yeah. It's important, though, to say United will still need time. Like, not all of these players, like you would hope that Mbumo and Cunha are plug-and-play options, but United will have a bit more time to go step back, work on the training pitch, work on attitude, work on team spirit and this kind of thing, because they don't have Europe. It can be a season of opportunity for United to come together, establish a first-choice 11. The players who aren't working hard enough or aren't getting into the team, you'll have a clear path forward. A first 11 should probably establish itself over the course of the season, I think, anyway. And all of those worries about, United being out of Europe are completely, massively justified, but I think we'll only really start to see the benefit of that if things go well in March or April, because United should really be a lot fresher than 9 or 10 of the teams that are in the Premier League. That's just the way that it should work. Peter O'Leary says, do you think Hoyland will leave now, maybe on loan? Probably on loan, I would think. It would be interesting to see if they do keep him, because we know that, how are United actually doing this? How are United actually finding the money to do a deal like this? If they know that they're going to go for this guy, where are they getting the money from? I've talked about the fact that they've agreed with Cunha. I think they were paying 20.5 million over the course of 3 years or something like that to make up to the release clause that he had in his contract, Cunha. And with Brian Mbumo, I think they're doing stagger payments of over the course of 4 years. I think that's another 20 million as well. So we obviously know the cash position is a problem, but maybe there's enough cash left. Maybe they're looking at the credit card, or maybe they are hoping they can go into these talks with Leipzig and stagger that fee as well, only paying 20 million up front or something like that at the moment, so they can do the same thing. You don't want to smash too many of those deals over the course to add that up to having to pay 60 million quid a year over the next few years, especially if those transfers don't go well. But it needs must at the moment. I think United have to address the striking option. They have to address the option in midfield as well. And there's lots to consider. But Michael says a big upgrade should be how much better the AS Sesko is. We'll finally have someone who can potentially get on the end of crosses and should be coming in for a lot more this season. Hacker says strikers need time to get it right. I hope every striker gets chances in rotation. And look, there's so many players that United have to fit into this team. Considering they're playing one game a week, you've got all these players to fit in, and I might even be missing some out. At wing back, you've got Ahmad Dallo. You've got on the one side, you've got Dorgu, Leon, potentially Luke Shaw at left wing back. You've got Ugarte, Casemiro, Mainu, Bruno Fernandes, all those players in the midfield area, plus Sekou Kone, plus another midfielder that United will look to potentially sign as well after this striker thing happens. And then you've got Mbumo, Xerxes, Cunha, Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes again could be playing one of those positions. Benjamin Sesko, Chido, Obi, lots and lots of players. You can only play 11 and add 5 into any one game. So there's going to be players missing out. It's really interesting to see what's going to happen. I'd be surprised because I think United have established a group of players that they don't want. We know they're referred to as the bomb squad. We know that they've established a group of players they don't want, but maybe there's some unexpected names who end up leaving before the window closes. They'll certainly need to raise some money at some point. I'm just thinking, how are they going to pull this one off now? Suggestions today are that Antony's rejected Saudi Arabia and this kind of thing. So I don't know where they're going to get that and how quickly. Garnacho obviously should fetch some money. He's holding out for Chelsea by the looks of it. Antony, they would hope to salvage some money for him as well. Jadon Sancho's been linked a bit with Borussia Dortmund, and yeah, bomb squad is a ridiculous term, but that's what they've been called. T2 says the Izzo picture this all square with Arsenal, and Boomer cuts in from the edge of the box, floating an in-swinger into the box. 6'5" Sesko leaks like a salmon and crashes one in. The Stretford end erupts. It's funny because most people have been looking at this and thinking, oh, God, Arsenal are going to sign Gyökeres, and they have. Could make his debut tomorrow. Arsenal are going to sign Gyökeres, and now, God, we're just waiting for that Victor Gyökeres kind of stinger to come after United had made him their first choice striking target or one of those, and then they didn't qualify for the Champions League. And it's just written in the stars, really, isn't it? Because United at the time hadn't really... They might not have even got over the line with Mbumo at that point. There was a lot of dread around that happening, and now it seems like United, if this deal ends up happening about Benjamin Sesko, it seems like United are having their own weapon to use against Arsenal, who wanted to sign him in the first place. So it's mirrors. It is really weird. Manpreet says Matt Law suggested Chelsea value Garnacho at 30 million, while they're shamelessly asking for 70 for Jackson. Well, look at it this way: United should be valuing Garnacho at 70 million and valuing Jackson at 30 million. It is... Nicholas Jackson isn't going to play much football for Chelsea. Just because United have made it very clear they want to sell Garnacho, Chelsea have made it pretty clear that they want to sell Jackson because they have signed 2 strikers this summer. They've signed Delap and they've signed João Pedro. Where are his minutes going to come in? I don't know. It's interesting, but I think it's quite relieving for me that Nicholas Jackson is not one of the striking options that United are going to go after anymore. Simply because I don't think he has that kind of instinct in front of goal. I've seen him miss a lot of chances that would really kind of infuriate, I can presume, would infuriate a lot of people. And look, like you say there, Chelsea are going to be asking for ridiculous money. And the last thing I wanted to see United do was prop up Chelsea's transfer strategy and validate it. I didn't want to see that happen. So we have interesting developments today. It is João Felix to Al Nassr, who are part owners of Chelsea. Nothing fishy there at all, says Manpreet. Yeah, it's an odd one, isn't it? But let's hope United can start raising some money from elsewhere over the course of the next few weeks. But let's talk a little bit about Benjamin Sesko and his record, because obviously he's only just turned 22, I think, at the end of May or around then. He's had 2 seasons at Leipzig, I think. Yeah, joined July 1st, 2023. I think United wanted him around that time as well, and was signed for around 20 odd million euros. I think United wanted him as well, but he went to Leipzig, has played 64 Bundesliga games, scored 27 goals, 7 assists, and that's a goal contribution every 145 minutes. So is that a goal scored every 145 minutes? He certainly has had a fair bit of experience in the Bundesliga. He's had some really good moments as well, scored some amazing goals. There was a goal he scored against Bayern last season. I watched that game, and the ball was kind of like lofted over the top, down the left channel, but there was nobody really like stopping him or whatever. It was a case of the Bayern goalkeeper was off his line, and Sesko looked at the fact that, you know, he had the ball bouncing, could have taken it on. He had a defender to the side of him, just literally cut across it with his right, and you saw this like amazing strike, which kind of went like this, you know, into the goal. It was amazing. And then he jumped to celebrate. I think he jumped about 12 feet high or whatever. So he does have, like, he's a really, really imposing physical figure, which I think, to me, he has a lot of, like, I know he's raw, but he has a lot of like raw kind of materials that could potentially be molded into the kind of striker that Ruben Amorim wants. I just envision that player as being somebody that is willing to run the channel, somebody that's good physically, somebody that can get into the positions and have the positional sense to kind of like get on the end of chances. We thinking about the wing backs, right? Patrick Dorgu, I think we'll get more out of him this season. I'm pretty optimistic for him. Diego Leon is there. Amad's probably going to be playing at right wing back over the course of the season. We know the additional threat he can add from right wing back as well. You've got Mbumo and Cunha who can thread those balls through to a striker. You know, you just need to find the right fit for the striker. And I think there's enough there to work with for me. I know his goal record isn't absolutely fantastic. I think he only got 13 goals last season or something like that. But it is, I'm looking forward to it. I'm kind of taking this for granted at the moment because it does seem like we're moving that way, that United are going to end up doing this deal. But I'm taking enough in the fact that United have pretty much put it out there that this guy is the one that they want. I think they have to be pretty confident that that this deal is going to get done if they're putting that out there. We've also had like confirmation from the Newcastle side today as well. I think Craig Hope from the Daily Mail said it initially, that even Newcastle themselves think that Benjamin Sesko is going to end up at United as well. United have sent a delegation out to Germany for talks, and we'll see what happens. I think, let me just run through the numbers again for you. So I've been, like, I did a podcast earlier today. You can actually see this clip and my rationale behind coming to the choice of Sesko on the channel earlier today. This channel isn't big, so it hasn't been seen by loads of people at the moment, but it is. I kind of went back through what Villa were asking for Ollie Watkins. I kind of went back through what Fabrizio Romano and other journalists have said about Benjamin Sesko and the price that he had over the last few weeks, or that was on him over the last few weeks. Like the stream, by the way, if you haven't done so already. I would really, really appreciate it if you could do that and drop in the comment section after the video as well. So this channel can hopefully grow a little bit and more people can come across this. Aston Villa rejected 60 million quid, or Aston Villa wanted 60 million pounds from Arsenal in January in order to sell them to Arsenal. Obviously, they judged that as too much money, and rightfully so. I think any club that's really paying that fee that Villa want for Ollie Watkins at the moment, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do that. I'd valued Ollie Watkins, something I'd be happy with, 40 to 45 million quid. I think I said this a few weeks ago, even before it came out that United themselves valued him at 40 to 45 million. That I wouldn't really be that comfortable seeing United pay above 40 or that much over 40 for a player who was 29 turning 30 in the next few months. I didn't think the fact that Aston Villa, they may need to sell, but are they like calling a bluff? You know, are they like just holding out and trying to get the best price they possibly can for Ollie Watkins? It could be a bit of posturing potentially, but if you're getting warning signs that 40 to 45 million isn't going to do it, and you're looking any further above 50 million quid for a player that is 29, 30, he does have Premier League experience, obviously, but any more than 45 million plus, I think you're getting to the realm of overpaying for Ollie Watkins. So then I started to like compare the numbers. I thought maybe there's a chance you can get Ollie Watkins for 50, maybe. Then I looked at the numbers for Sesko, right? Romano had said between 70, 80 million euros as a fixed fee in whatever installments you get, plus 5 to 10 million euros, right? So that is, you're looking at potentially up to 90 million euros. Worst case scenario. This is on the condition, right, that Sesko prefers to join that club or wants to join that club. I think there's a gentleman's agreement in the contract or in the agreement that he had with Leipzig that if there's a club that he specifically wants to join, the price drops. In comparison, so let's keep in mind that Ollie Watkins, for me, you're probably not getting him for under 50 million. The numbers In pounds for Sesko, you're looking at between 60 to 69 million pounds plus 4.3 to 8.6 million. So you're looking at like 77, 78 million as a worst case scenario. And like I say, if there's new people who've just joined the stream, there's even suggestions today that Newcastle and United and Manchester United feel that a deal can potentially be done here for 70 million euros. I don't know. Let's see how good United can be at this. Let's see how good they can negotiate. Christopher Vivell is playing a big part in this as well. Obviously, he knows Sesko pretty well from his time at the RB Red Bull Group and this kind of thing, and has had a massive say over a lot of talented players that have been brought into that system over the last few years. So if he's the one driving this deal and United are moving forward with it, it's a big, big vote of confidence on him. It's a big risk as well, obviously, putting that much money up for another young striker who there's not necessarily any guarantee that he will mix it in the Premier League. Physically, it does seem like he can stick with it, but as Mikey says here, Højlund was never a prolific striker at Atalanta. Sesko's been banging in goals for years now. Can't turn the opportunity down to sign a Zlatan regen. Look, potentially, there is that potential. You're definitely not getting that kind of potential out of Ollie Watkins. It's more of a safe pair of hands who's only going to come in. There's no, for 2, 3, 4 years, he will eventually be leaving the club on a free transfer or usurped by another striker that United sign or usurped by Chido Obi over the course of the next few years. And you're not getting any resale value, probably above 10 million for him over the next few years. And you're just writing money off in a sense, even though you're kind of more sure that Watkins can deliver a certain amount of goals for you. Jonathan says, hi, Scott. Hello, mate. Lovely to have you. Like I say, I'm probably here a bit early for you guys today, but just thought with the developments around Sesko today and the fact that it's come in the last hour or so, I thought it was a good idea to jump on. So get in the comments if you have not done so already. I would really, really appreciate it. I didn't really have any doubts after doing my own little tiny bit of United Bournemouth prediction. I don't know. 1-1, maybe. What happens in this summer series? Do you think that if United draw 1-1 and they go to penalties or something like that, or is it just going to count as a point on the league table or something? I'm hoping for more of the same after the West Ham friendly the other day. I think there was good signs in that. I'd like to see if Amorim's going to switch things around or if he can stick with the kind of first choice midfield that he seemed to go with and establish in Mainu and Ugarte the other day. Manpreet says, how about Rasmus to Newcastle on loan once the Sesko deal gets done? Need to learn a few tricks from Joe Linton and co. I'm not sure Newcastle would do that, to be honest. Mikey, Bruno, Ahmad, Cunha, and Mbumo, Sesko on the attack. That sounds tasty. It does, doesn't it? Like, not all those players they're not all bad players. You know, I've said this. United and their playing staff, as bad as it has been over the last few years, they are not 15th good. They are better than that. They've been to finals of tournaments. They've won cups over the last few years. They've won the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, beating big teams on the way to doing that. They are capable of it. It's just something has been wrong. And there's so much more that is able to be squeezed out of this team. It's just not good to, it's not the right thing to say at the moment, because the popular thing to do is just to, we know change needs to happen at United, obviously, and I'm not shying away from that at all. But if Amorim can get the attitude right, get the training right, get the tactical ideas across, get everyone to buy in, you should see a better team. Jonathan says Bournemouth are going to be an interesting challenge. Prajwal says never too high, never too low. Whatever the transfers, my hopes are realistically a top 10 finish, top 6 or CL would be a bonus and a super good season. Yeah, I think if anything, it's good to me that United aren't coming in with a lot of expectations this season. Like you say there, most people are expecting United to flop again. I don't have an expectation. I can't sit here and say to you right now that I think United are going to get top 4 or top 6 because they haven't shown enough. But I do know that there's more in the tank and there's more in those players than has currently been shown. There definitely is. Something just needs to happen. Something needs to click and the coach needs to get a hold of them. And let's hope that things can start from the first week of the season. Look, a win against Arsenal on the first day of the season will do a hell of a lot for sentiment. You know, they need to play with more energy. They still need more. If they sign Sesko, they still need more. I think they still need a midfielder. Obviously, though, the fact that this is going to cost a lot of money is probably going to impact them actually going and signing a midfielder. I think where are they going to get that money from, or can they look at finally getting the likes of Anthony and Garnacho out of the door for money and Jadon Sancho out of the door for money that they can use to top up their cash balance so they can go and sign another midfielder on top of that? I don't know. If I'm surprised that United even think that they can do this deal now, given they've already spent all that money, 120 million quid or whatever it is, on Cunha and Mbeumo already. I think it Grace who said it earlier. 200 million. Yeah, Grace said it earlier. 200 million potentially on 3 new attackers is crazy. That's a completely revamped attack that United are bringing in. They weren't all that bad defensively last season. I think they did. No, they weren't useless, obviously, but I think under Amorim, they did show more signs of solidarity, barring a couple of games. I think the Newcastle game away was pretty bad, but in general, I think they had tightened up a lot of the spaces that had been shown under Erik ten Hag. And the problem for me was always scoring goals. So if you put in 200 million quid into signing 3 new attacking players, and you still have Bruno Fernandes, and you have another you have a pre-season of getting more fit and getting to grips with the tactical instructions, and you're working on team culture and this kind of thing. As Jonathan says, I feel like we could surprise a few people, but that might be too much optimism. People are too scared to say that at the moment, and I understand why. There is still a lot of talent in that team. Mason, I said this yesterday, Mason Mount's won the Champions League. You know, there's still good players in there somewhere. They might not have worked out so far, but there's more in the tank. There's more to get out of these players. And if they're adding actual goals to this team, just by keeping it tight and having more of a goal threat and scoring 1 goal, the picture changes completely. You know. Anyway, get your questions in. I would like to talk to you about anything that you guys have in your mind or whatever. It is interesting to see. I haven't checked my timeline or whatever since I've joined. I've just been tagged in a tweet saying United have made an inquiry for Gigi Donnarumma earlier in the summer, and PSG now expect United to renew their interest once Lucas Chevalier's signing is completed. PSG are open to selling him for the right price. Do we have something here? All right, okay. So James Ducker has said, thanks for the tag, The Wanderer. I know you have watched the podcast in the past. James Ducker has said, United also remain interested in adding a goalkeeper before the close of the transfer window. They are understood to have made an inquiry about PSG and Italy goalkeeper Gigi Donnarumma. PSG are in the process of signing goalkeeper Lucas Chevalier from Lille. And the European champions are thought to be braced for United. And I'll just share this, actually. Doing this again, like I did earlier. Share screen. Add to stage. Here we go. Right. Okay. So interesting to see that this has just come out as well. United remain interested in adding a goalkeeper before the close of the transfer window. They are understood to have made an inquiry about Gigi Donnarumma. PSG are obviously signing a goalkeeper that I would have liked United to have signed. We're live, pal, says Mikey. Yeah, I mean, look, you have rightful concerns. The wages are going to be a problem. If anything, for me, I've already made my decision on this. You're not getting Andre Onana. You're not getting rid of him. The last thing I'd like to see is like a main first choice goalkeeper kind of come in and have to compete with the position. I think Donnarumma would very much be a solidified number 1, but he's going to ask for ridiculous wages, I'm pretty sure. Donnarumma has 12 months on his contract, and while PSG are happy to keep him, they're open to selling him if the right bid comes in. There's no suggestion of how much money they want for him, but I think they're signing Chevalier for about 40 million euros. So I don't know where United get this money from. You know, I'm not sure. if anything, I pretty much made my mind up on that lad from Antwerp, Sene Lammens, coming in and being the right choice to come in and potentially take over Onana's position. Mikey, wrestling fans get that reference. I'm sure Scott did. We're alive, pal. Okay, right. So, where am I? I didn't expect to throw that one in there, but that's been popping around social media over the last few minutes. And the wonder you are watching, always watching. You just tagged me, so thanks very much for that as well. Yeah, let me know what you guys are thinking. There's a lot of chat about Hayden Hackney. Looks like I think Ipswich have put in a bid of 15 million quid for him or something. Hayden Hackney will go a long way and replace him. McTominay says Hacker. We have had some other. Jonathan says, do you think adding Sesko puts pay to us adding midfield? I don't know. I got to be honest. I don't know. I didn't think United could go and do Sesko. And the Wanderer says, United spending 90 million on the credit card in my Twitter mentions. So I didn't think United could go and do Sesko and get to this point without selling a player. So you also got to think of this as well. I'm just taking a sip of water. Starting to lose my voice. I've talked so much today. Everybody thinks United have no money, right? And yes, their cash position has been a problem. But I think a lot of the things that Jim Ratcliffe said at the time were kind of competed with in various quarters. It's probably a good thing for clubs to think that Manchester United have no money. If you think of how United have gone and paraded themselves under Ed Woodward as being a club that can do anything commercially and bring in record revenues, even if they're not performing on the pitch. That is the idea that clubs have had of Manchester United for a few years, and they've consistently caved in to transfer demands of other clubs. Maybe it's a conscious part of changing the thinking from the very top for clubs to think that United have no money because it will help them negotiate. Just a presumption, but it's as much as it might make you think as a fan, and it's even got me as well. I'm confused as to how they're going and getting Sesko, if that's going to be the case, and how it's going to work for them. It might be something that United are consciously thinking of to kind of put that message out there that they are poor, that they don't have that kind of money to drop. Because the fact that they've gone and signed Cunha and Mbeumo already, and they've just offloaded Marcus Rashford and this kind of thing. We know the numbers are bad, but we know PSR concerns aren't really there anymore after that report in The Athletic. It is interesting to see how the messaging has changed. As much as you might be worried that United don't have that kind of money to kind of throw in to improve, the fact that they are going and still doing these deals, even though you don't understand how, probably a good thing. Probably a good thing to change that in the psyche of the football world, that United aren't actually going to drop loads of money because they don't have it. I don't know. Mike Mitchell says, hey, Scott, is it confirmed we can get a striker without a sale then? Or are we getting things ready for when we do sell? Look, this remains to be seen. I don't know at the moment. It is. I did say on a podcast recently that it could be that United are making it clear to Sesko that they want him. They're probably going to try and agree a framework of the deal with Leipzig. And if they don't have the cash to do that deal now, we might be waiting a few weeks. It might be contingent on United making a sale or two. Maybe that is the case as well. I don't know. Or maybe they can do it now and maybe they can get him in. And we can go from there. In that case, I don't know how they're going to manage to do it. But it's interesting to see that United aren't quite an open book at the moment. Mikey says as well, are there still people that think the Ineos, the Glazers 2.0? I mean, it's ridiculous, to be honest. They're simply not. They're doing things massively differently. It's just the problem that I think people, the reason why people are still looking at this and thinking they are still an extension of the Glazers is because of the deal that they did, which has kept the Glazers in, and because we haven't seen results straight away. But there's a lot of, like what Luke Shaw has said about the squad culture and these kinds of things, there's a lot at the club that needs to be fixed that isn't necessarily going to be turned around and fixed straight away. Hopefully this is the first season going in that will be able to, see differences in culture and differences in effort, more hard work from the first team, more of a goal threat, and these kinds of things. Manpreet said, if Donnarumma agrees to a low wage, I would love him to be at United. Probably the best goalkeeper in the world at the moment. Just won the Champions League. I haven't seen Dune Hacker, actually, so maybe I should, so I don't get that reference. Jonathan Ball says, isn't it crazy we started the transfer window wanting Delap, and now we're possibly adding Sesko to Mbumo? Crazy. It is crazy. And I understood the appeal of Liam Delap at the time, 30-odd million quid or whatever it is. He chose Chelsea. Now Chelsea have signed another striker on top of that, so he's not even got the guaranteed minutes he probably could have got if he'd have joined United in the first place. Nerd references there. All right. Look, let me just round up to see if there's anything else. Right. So something that I mentioned earlier. If you're wondering about, I did this on the podcast earlier. Something that I put out there earlier that you may not have seen already if you haven't checked the podcast, or if you've just seen this live and you're kind of stumbling across this for the first time. I did do some really strong journalistic research into who Benjamin Sesko follows on Instagram earlier today to establish whether he would want to join Newcastle or to join Manchester United. He does not follow Newcastle on Instagram. He follows Manchester United on Instagram. He follows Arsenal and Liverpool on Instagram as well. But if that gives you any indication about where he wants to go, that's completely obvious news. Although maybe there is a tinge of like, if a player is this is it's a massive jump, but people make a lot of this, but it could be an indication into the mindset that like those are the clubs that he establishes as, in his radar for worth following. I don't know. Newcastle having a nightmare window, just in case you missed this already. Dean Huyson, Liam Delap, Brian Mbumo, João Pedro, Hugo Ekitike, Mateus Cunha, James Trafford, and potentially now Benjamin Sesko as well, all turning down, or potentially turning down in Sesko's case, Newcastle United to go to other clubs. It's a bad summer for them. It's a bad window for them at the moment. Maybe they do end up getting this deal done. I don't know. But Michael says, after Shaw's comments and the seemingly more professional way we are conducting business, it finally feels as though we're getting our club back. Whisper it quietly. Mikey says, I remember CFAX for deals and news, modern technology. Wasn't it like page 302? 302 on CFAX? Was it? I remember back in the day, remember that game, United versus Arsenal, when Mark Overmars scored in 97, 98? I was, plus possibly losing your best player in Isak as well, of course. Remember that game, Arsenal versus United in like 98, where Arsenal won that game 1-0 at Old Trafford and ended up winning the title. I found out about that on teletext because I didn't have Sky at the time. And I cried. I think I was like 8 or 9 or whatever it was. But if I remember rightly, you just tap in 302, you get the football news or something like that. In reference to Mikey's CFAX deals and news question. Jonathan says, it was really pointed how Shaw said there's no stragglers now. A wee bit on the nose for Shaw too. I didn't like the interview he did after the Europa League final. I thought it was raw, and raw is good at times, but after a final like that, when everybody's really down, the fact that he's now a senior player at the club, I thought was an indication of the attitude and the psyche within that club. And I thought, how the hell did you come back from that? If that's what your senior players think, that's bad, particularly bad. But, he has then said, have I still got that draft? I picked out some quotes. Yeah, actually, let me just run through those for now. I'm sure you guys have seen this already, but just to run through those again, he's been talking about Ruben Amorim. He's extremely tough on the group and leaves no stone unturned. There's no stragglers in this group anymore. Everyone has to put the team first, and he's made that very clear. A lot of the time I've been here over the last few years, and it's been extremely negative. It can be quite toxic, the environment. It's not healthy at all. It's mad, absolutely mad. But he went on to say, I feel like in my time here, it's probably the closest I've felt with the squad. since I've been here. I think the attitude is really good and extremely positive. Hopefully that can continue. I cried when, Jonathan says, I cried when United lost the 1979 FA Cup final to Arsenal after we came back from 2-0 down. First time I cried at football, I was 9. Yeah, we've all had our moments, haven't we? We've all had our moments. There you are, Jonathan. 302 on CFAX. I was right. Gossip page was 312. So, but if there's new people here and you're not of the age to remember CFAX or teletext, that was how we got our football news back in the day. Not not like this, not in live streams on the internet or like finding out through Twitter and journalists on Twitter, that kind of thing. Anyway, Luke Shaw went on to say, I feel like in my time here, it's probably the closest I've felt with the squad since I've been here. I think the atmosphere is really good and really extremely positive. Hopefully that can continue. If someone's doing 85 to 90%, that's not enough for Ruben Amorim. I think especially this year, if you're not doing the right things, I feel like you won't play. I think at the time, I didn't really like what Luke Shaw had said after the Europa League final, but then he went on to talk about those comments that he'd mentioned. He said he wouldn't say he regretted making those comments, but I think straight after the game, your head is not, your head's hot and you just say things you don't think about. I think a lot of people after that final, after that year, had the feeling of you don't know how next season's going to look. I think none of us were good enough. I think there was always going to be that question about what we think and what our plans are for the next season. It's never easy losing a final, especially after that season we went through. It was even harder to take. I think I had an awful year as well. I was just fully angry about everything. I think that's why I did the interview and why I said what I said. But Luke Shaw has now come out and essentially blasted. Look, if he's talking about stragglers, we know who he's kind of pointed to. There are no stragglers in this group anymore. United have kind of cut 5 players out, and I don't think he was talking about Johnny Evans and Christian Eriksen personally. And Victor Lindelof. Well, maybe he was, I don't know. But Marcus Rashford, Alejandro Garnacho, Anthony, maybe not all of them are stragglers. Maybe it's a pointed quote at, Garnacho, who's been essentially told by Ruben Amorim, go find a new club. You better hope you can find one. Hopefully something has changed in terms of the attitude, and hopefully something has changed in the attack with the fact that United have signed 2 Premier League proven number 10s or like attackers. Plus, on top of that now, hopefully they're going to make advancements with Benjamin Sesko. Just running through my social media timeline, because it's funny how these days, and Sky Sports have just jumped on this now as well. If they bring in a striker, Benjamin Sesko is a top target. Look, there's lots going on. It's funny how we go from not like absolutely craving updates on transfers, and you wait for 6 weeks or whatever on Mbeumo, and then Mbeumo gets done, that gets over the line, and now United, even though they haven't sold any players, have the money to go and do a transfer like this. I don't know. Fred, hello, mate. Sorry I'm late, Scott, but showing my support. Thanks, Fred. If you're new here, please like the video. Please drop a comment as well, get in the live chat. And I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to go on for, but I really appreciate that you guys are jumping on. Mikey says, sure as throwing players under the bus, I'm here for it. But I think Pot Kettle Black might be in the conversation, Luke. I did say after the final, I think Luke Shaw is probably one of those players that needs to end up going. For whatever reason, he's going to be staying around. Ruben Amorim has been very complimentary of him and said the other day that he was world class. So, Jonathan says, out of them all, Garnacho is the one that makes me angry because he had everything, but his ego outgrew his talent. And Manpreet as well says Garnacho needs to take a long, hard look in the mirror. If not, he might turn into the new Sancho. Look, it is a worry. We don't know what United are going to end up doing in terms of sales. They definitely do need to sell at some point. I think maybe we're just looking towards the end of the window for that money to come in. But United feel confident enough at the moment that they can go and put the wheels in motion to do transfer deals for a lot of money, even though people think they don't have any money. So, look, guys, it's been an hour, right? For those of you that have jumped in and, joined and jumped in the live chat, this kind of thing, I really, really, really appreciate it. And it's really good that you've joined, and thank you very, very much. Please like the stream if you've not done so already. Please get in the comment section, subscribe to the channel, and try and Ranabir here says, the Promised Land MUFC, hope you're well, Scott. Liking the style of live streams nowadays, clickbaity stream titles, love it. Look, you got to do this. I just have to do Man United pick Sesko, live reaction. You know, it is something that you got to do, really. And even thumbnails, I'm having to prat around with those and make it attention grabbing to people. I'm still not great at that, but you know, you definitely not. I might do a little bit of that to get you guys in, but you guys know me. It's not. You're not going to get outrageous, ridiculous takes from me. Like that's not the way that I like to do things. If anything, I'm kind of sick and tired of that kind of thing. But like, I think I was going to round it off there. But really, really, really appreciate you guys. Really appreciate you guys getting in the live chat and liking the video if you've not done so already. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to it because I need to get hit those like numbers. This new channel is so new and not growing quickly enough for me to be able to, you know, turn it into something that is viable for me. But you can subscribe to the podcast as well on Apple and Spotify and any audio platform as well. I'll be going and doing in a second like a 20-minute like snippet talking about this Benjamin Sesko thing just for the audio listeners. Bryce, Scott, my man. Hello, my man. Bryce, thanks very much for joining. Never too high, never too low, says Jonathan as well. That is what you'll get from this channel. But thanks, everyone. Look, let's see. I don't know if this deal for Benjamin Sesko is going to be done yet. It seems like the wheels are in motion. But, you know, we don't know which way it's going to go. We don't even know if United are going to definitely sign a striker yet. But can we get merch? Never too high, never too low merch. Do you want it? If you want it, maybe I'll figure it out. Wouldn't have the first clue about how to do it, but if you guys want it, maybe I will. Manpreet, thanks, Scott. See you at the Here We Go for Sesko. We'll see. It might take a few weeks yet. I don't know. But thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Apparently, merch is something you guys want as well. So hashtag never too high, never too low. Thank you, everyone. I've been trying to wrap up for a little while now, but you guys are so kind. And you want a Discord as well. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. I'll see you soon. Let's hope that some kind of advancement can come on this. And we can move on from there. See you soon. And pleasure as always, guys. See you soon for another Promised Land podcast. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe on Spotify and Apple as well. And Jack Hussey has started some merch. I have been talking about him, about that to him as well. So maybe we can. Jack Hussey, fantastic man, great legend. See you guys soon for another Promised Land podcast. I'm finally going now. See you soon.